Hey everyone, Melissa from Melissa vs. Fibromyalgia here, and I am having a coffee and thought about updating you. So we're day 13 or 12. I don't even know how you count this stuff. It's 2 weeks on Tuesday since my operation for hysterectomy and endometriosis excision, and I have fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. I have been doing really well until the endometriosis got really bad last year. So now we're in a bit of a weird space where we just have no idea how things are going to look. I didn't know how things would look now at this point after surgery, and I'm pretty happy, like really happy for this point. But we don't know what it's going to be like in the next 3, 6, 12 months. So it's really exciting, but also, a lot of pressure. Trying to kind of figure out how to maintain gains, get more gains. I want to just be normal. But I thought I would update you. So, as there always comes a time, I think, after surgery recovery, when you bounce back into things and you overdo it and you smash the wall. And that's what happened yesterday. So, I had a crash. So, my children came home. All four are home now because I have two, a 4.5-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 9-year-old. The big two were home last week, but they were out during the day at holiday program. But the little two came home. And I overdid it, of course, because the mama wants to look after her children. And her little children want their mama. So yesterday, unfortunately, my husband went out with the big three and he thought he'd put the 2-year-old to bed and I was going to go and have a nap. But the 2-year-old was not sleeping. He was playing. So he ended up in the bed with me and he went to sleep fine, but it was like sleeping with a tractor mixed with a cat. His little chest was purring loudly because he's got a very bad cold and he was right on top of me. So I couldn't do my meditation and I was so tired that I fell asleep for 20 minutes, which in itself is a weird thing because I've got a long history of trouble sleeping and not napping. And I woke up feeling terrible. Just yuck. You know the feeling when you wake up like from a nap that was either the wrong length or you just shouldn't have napped. And the afternoon started to go a bit downhill and I was doing my best. I was using my heat pack, trying to calm my neck down. And I didn't think to take the medicine for a long time. And my husband, when he came back, he went back to his project. So he's been building drawers that he bought for the kids. And so he was doing that. So I was trying to get the kids through the evening. So I was cooking them dinner. I did homemade, like home cooked chicken and chips, and trying like between checking on the food and them watching Moana. So I would come and sit with them and I would like try and tip this chair as far back as possible so I could mimic lying down as much as possible. But I was feeling really just awful. And it was just a big confluence of events, but essentially I crashed. And that's something to do with the chronic fatigue syndrome. And it's not something that's mentioned with the fibromyalgia at all, but I have low blood pressure and it got too low after the surgery. Like my blood pressure is at the bottom of normal normally, but after surgery it got too low and they were watching it. But also for the last 2 weeks my heart rate has also been low. So usually I've got a very good resting heart rate, very good heart rate variability, but it's been a bit just low obviously the last couple of weeks. So I think it's a POTS thing, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and so you look after that by getting up very slowly, making sure you keep on top of like salt and electrolytes, and then lying down can just make you feel better. Like there are sometimes I feel so sick, but then lying down for a while can make it better. But obviously I couldn't do that in charge of the kids. And then eventually I was like, I better take some Nurofen. So I took some Nurofen, ibuprofen, and then managed to get a little bit of food into me. So I realized that I hadn't eaten and I probably should, but I didn't feel like it because I didn't feel well. But I nibbled some of the chips and then had a little bit of the chicken, and then that was okay. And then I took my slow release Panadol a little early and that seemed to conquer it, but I had to really just stay sitting down, leaning back for the rest of the evening. And thankfully I went to sleep okay, because often when you get overtired and sick it can make it hard to go to sleep, but thankfully I got to sleep okay, and I've been sleeping through. And one of the wonderful side effects of the operation after like the first few days, so Second day I went into urinary retention and they had to put the catheter back in. But then the next day, once they took it out, then for a couple of days I was just peeing all the time. And that's just a thing that I've lived with for a long time. But since, for the last week, I've been going a lot less. And so I think the endometriosis must have been irritating my bladder. So actually, I go to the bathroom before I go to bed, and I actually get to stay in bed the whole night. Unless, of course, my 4.5-year-old wakes me up, which he did at midnight last night. But then I went straight back to bed and straight back to sleep and didn't get up again from 12 till 7. So it's really cool. Like, that is so unusual for me. Like, the whole sleep thing is very new. That's all part of like managing everything, getting my whole of life protocol going, and starting the quetiapine. Quetiapine really changed the game there. But something about the last week or so and not having to get up and go to the bathroom all the time, or not being in as much pain as I would have been when I had my period, because it would have come last week if I hadn't had the hysterectomy, and I was like 1 week post-op last week and in less pain, and so yeah, much better sleep. Not that it's tiding me through the whole day, but I'm trying to you know be realistic. I should be tired. My body is recovering from surgery, so yeah, but I crashed. So I've learned a lesson, and today I'm being more careful. Um, so while my husband took the children to church, because I'm still not leaving the house, I don't feel comfortable yet leaving the house. Plus, we live in a very steep driveway, so getting out of the house would be painful. I'm only just starting to go up and down the stairs. But anyway, the whole time they've been gone, I have sat quietly here and watched Gilmore Girls. I'm binge watching season 6 because it's just delicious. And yeah, I'm going to make a conscious effort to be careful the rest of the day as well. So I just think I'm learning some really good reminders, and I think it's helping me as well. So I'm keeping note of everything. And so I'm going to have some new content coming. I'm going to be writing some blog posts. I really wanted to update my what to do when you're first diagnosed with fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue syndrome for a while, but it's so complex and there's so much to do and there's so much I want to tell you. And so essentially my book is that. My most recent book came out last year. It's Fibromyalgia Won't Win. And I think that is actually everything I would want to tell you when you're diagnosed. So it's really hard to make an article with a couple of points, because there is so much to it. It is so complex and there's so much I want to share with you. Otherwise there wouldn't be over 300 blog posts and 200 videos. But anyway, I'm keeping all of these snippets I'm learning, and the cool thing is going back to basics with my yoga practice as well. It's reminding me and keeping me accessible, which I want to stay always. There's nothing worse than seeing someone who starts off and it's all accessible, but then they get better and then they lose touch with what it's actually like. I don't want to be that. I will always have accessible classes, short classes, medium classes, classes for when you're sitting down, blah blah blah. I want to always maintain that, and so I'm learning good things. So yeah, that's my little update about crashes, avoiding flares. Well, not really avoiding flares, but dealing with it when it came up as well as I could. So hopefully that's something helpful for you, and I will catch you again soon.